Hello and welcome to my first podcast. I'm your host, Max Röck, and today you are listening to It's What We Are Taught. Today's story goes a little bit back in my life. To be honest, since I'm a little kid here, and since we are all little, we have been taught something. From our parents, from our teachers, from people around us, which are much more mature, older and more wise than we. And the teachers things they have learned from their parents. And many things which limit us in our life. But it's never been their intent to do that. But it's done because it's what they have been passed on from their generation. And most likely their generation has gone through a war, to bad times where they had to starve, and things have been much more limited than they are right now. So what we have to do, we have to embrace that change and make sure we are not passing on those limitations to the next generation. Looking back into school, it's obviously easier to grade, to have the same rules in place than we used to do. So we learn to read. And we read out loud, which already limits us in the speed we can read. Because we can only read as fast as we can speak when we read out loud. We're reading out loud in school while we learn reading is used as a tool. It's used as a tool for the teacher to rate and make sure the student reads it out correctly, pronounces the words correctly, and that's only possible when the teacher is able to hear those words. So reading out loud is then used as a tool, but going forward we always sub-vocalize what we are reading, so we read it out loud in our minds, which then again slows us down. We only read as fast as we can speak the words. Even in our head we might increase the speed, but we are limited to a certain amount, and our mind then wanders off, gets into other thoughts, because our mind is much quicker to process words than we can speak them. Then we also learn to write. So what we can read, we can write. And there, at least I have been taught a certain way to write. And in that certain way it has never been looked really nice and really easy to read for me, because my handwriting is not really, let's say, readable even to myself in the way I've been taught since I was in school. So probably 6 months ago, maybe a little bit more, I changed my handwriting, and it has become much easier to read for myself. And that only because I have been brave enough to embrace the change, that if what I have learned since I'm small doesn't suit me, because it's really hard to read for myself, I can change it. And I can make it easier for myself, and that's what we can do all. If there's something which doesn't suit us, we can change it, adapt it, improve it, and use it to our benefit. And those two things, I believe, are the two main things we need going forward. If we can read, if we can write, there's nothing we can't learn, regardless of what it is. It might take longer. Some things might take longer than others, but if we can read and we can write it down in our own words, we can learn it all. So we can teach everything to ourselves, or get on someone who has already learned it and done it, to fast track that learning along the way. So do we really need everything we learn in school? We learn math, we learn chemistry. From a mathematic perspective, I think we need a basic mathematic understanding to get along, but we don't need to do all those calculations, draw graphs and everything, because nowadays we have tools. If I want to calculate something which I can't do in my head or I'm not sure, I sitting on my PC anyway, putting out the calculator takes like 2 clicks or even less. So while the skills might be necessary or have been necessary 20, 30, 40 years ago, they're less necessary today. Into chemistry, I'm not really familiar with the topic, but if you become a pharmacist or develop new medication or anything else, you need chemistry understanding. I'm not sure if the chemistry you learn in school or later in college is really what will bring you forward, because as I can see, they teach you the things which are really old and have been long ago. There's no original content in there. But while we looking to find cures to unresolved diseases, we need to be original in our approaches. So that's nothing a chemistry teacher will be teaching, because he has never done it himself. So in that way we become generalists. We learn everything in a really wide range of topics in a really summarized form. We don't go into much details. We become generalists. But does it help us to learn from every topic a little bit? In that way, I strongly believe we are trained to become mediocre. We're trained to live a mediocrity life. We are trained for average. And we are never really good in everything. So what we are really good in is what we are passionate about. It's what we love to do. It's what we like to study even further, leaving the school. If you love math, if you love accounting, if you're really passionate about business or the different forms of corporations, what could be built, we're gonna learn research that even outside of school. We can use Google to find the necessary resources. We can go to a library, pick up a book and read more detail about what we're really interested, and that will make us to a specialist, not a generalist. And in today's society, the generalists are the people which get all the work thrown at, which the specialists don't want to do. That those are the things which are low value, because they're not generating much, but they have to be done. They are thrown at the generalist because the generalist knows a broad range of topics and can do a lot of things in many areas. While if we go into the really specialized topics, which are usually also the high paid jobs and specialties in today's societies, then we have to reach out to a specialist who does that really narrow topic really detailed, because they might have not done it for many years, but they have learned it, read through the different angles of that topic in a very broad detail. They have not stopped by what they have been taught in school. They have gone into more detail. They have learned more as the schools or the universities thought is necessary. So they have gone into much broader detail about everything in regards to that topic, and that makes them a specialist. So what I want to give you as learning from that episode is we are not taught to fail. When we read and we pronounce a word incorrectly, we have been told how to pronounce it. If we write and we do writing tests, we've been told the words to write down, and then we are graded on if we spelled them correctly. If we do a mathematic test, we are rated or graded on the output of that specific formula or task at hand. And if we do an accountancy test, we grade it on what has been right the last 20 years, while it still develops and changes. So to me, there's never only one right way. It's only a perspective on how we look at. So going through our school systems, we are taught to do everything right. We are not really motivated to try new things, to try new approaches, to do things differently than they have been done. But if you look back the last 20 years, any big company or companies that haven't been there, like Facebook or Uber or any other company who wasn't there 20 years ago, if you look at it, they have done something totally different than it used to be done for the last 20 or 30 years, which made them great. But we are not taught that in school. So we have to embrace failure and the mistakes we make on daily basis. And those mistakes, failures we undergo will make us grow. They bring us to where we want to get, and they make us stronger. They make us believe more in ourselves, and they will make us understand that mistakes and failure are part of our life as much as successes. If we don't fail often enough, we will never be grateful for the successes we have. If everything just falls in onto our lap, we just want to chase the next thing. We won't be enjoying every step along the way because it just falls into our lap without the hard work and the struggle, which makes it so great to succeed. We have to focus on our passions, because as we see in school, we're not good in every subject. We're good in a few subjects, and those subjects form our passions. The passions we like to chase, the passions we will pursue a profession in. A passion we always will chase to improve on a daily basis. And don't focus on others. If people around you are good in math, it doesn't matter. They might not be good in writing or chemistry or anything else. It's all about us and what we are passionate about, and we have to focus on us to improve those passions and not to be better than somebody around us. So before I wrap up and close that episode, I would like to ask you for a small favor. So thank you first to listening to the end of this episode. If you're a previous listener, a returning listener, and you have listened to that podcast again, I thank you very much for coming back. It means a lot. Please reach out to me if there's anything you want to hear, you want to learn. New listeners, if that's your first episode, thank you. Please go back to any of my previous episodes and let me know. Reach out to me. You can find my contact details in the show notes. I'm really curious to hear what you think about it. And if there's anything that resonated with you in that episode or any other episode, please take the link to that episode or your favorite episode and share it with 2-3 of your friends in the next 24 hours. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Mark Schreck. Until next time.